What is up, guys? It is John from Side Hustle Experiment. In today's video, I've been dreading making it. I didn't even know if I was going to post it, but it is my presentation from the Miami Seller Conference a couple months ago. Did this in front of 100 people. I thought it would be a little easier. I did do a practice run, but then when I got up there, it did struggle through it a little bit. The only reason I am sharing this with you guys is it resonated with a lot of people. After the presentation, a lot of people came up to me and were like, wow, like I was in a similar situation, or someone I know is in a similar situation. Someone I respect a lot stood up and actually gave me a hug and said, hey man, that took a lot of balls. But the title probably gives it away. This is not medical advice at all. This is my story. I was suicidal, dealt with depression pretty much through high school, all through college to the beginning of my life, up to like in the 30s. I still struggle with it a little bit sometimes today, just like whatever. But this video is to show you, this is not for you to, this is not one of those, hey, feel bad for me, or say, oh, I'm so happy you're still here. Like, I appreciate that and all that other stuff. This is to show you that pretty much anything is possible. I was in such a bad frame of mind, state of mind. My life was basically really good on the outside, but on the inside it was kind of a disaster. So this is just me showing you that I was in such a crappy place, and kind of how I got through that, and kind of made it through the other side, to where I am now. And it's part of my journey, my story. And I feel the need to share it, just because I know a lot of other stuff out there. It looks like everything's all rosy and everything's great, and everyone just kind of woke up and there was a ton of money in their bank account or whatever, or their orange bars went through the roof. But a lot of people have a story. This is my story. Again, this is not medical advice. This is not professional advice. You know, go get a therapist, go talk to someone, call a hotline if you're having trouble. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. On to the presentation.
So I met this guy years ago scanning books in Pennsylvania. There was a bookstore that closed down, and we were like scanning every book. Honestly, the books kind of sucked, but we made some money doing it. And I watched him on his journey quitting his job. So I remember he used to call me and take coaching calls from me. Can you guys shut up over there, Austin and Reezy? This guy used to talk to him on coaching calls, and he would, you know, ask me, should I quit my job? Should I quit my job? And he didn't know. And now he's doing 100K plus per month with online arbitrage. Guys, give it up for John, Side Hustle Experiment.
And we go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
What's up, everyone?
We go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night.
Thanks so much for being here. Thank you, Avery, Taylor. The very first Miami 2021, I was actually the DJ. So these guys have come a very long way. So super excited. I think I made it. I went from DJ to now speaker. So I think I'm good. All right. So if you don't know who I am, I've done over 1.4 million in sales since I started reselling. I started doing OA full time in August. I was a bookseller for most of it. And my main goal isn't necessarily orange bars. It's helping a lot of people live the life that they want. There's so many people in this room that have helped me: Avery, Rakin, Jameson, and anyone else I missed. And I just feel that so many people helped me that I feel like the need to give back. Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel, run a free Discord, do coaching, all that kind of stuff. But what I really wanted to talk about today is kind of my journey. It's a little different than some of the other people. I feel really old. I started this business at 33. A lot of people in here started at like 17, high school. Miles was selling Legos at 13. So yeah, if I look at it that way. But one of the hardest parts for me was, I wanted to thank Jameson actually, because I had 2 presentations in mind. One was going to be an easy one, just my journey, and the other one was going to be a little bit more personal, emotional, something I've never shared before. So my journey starts here. So this was 20 years ago. This was 20 years ago. I've never read this out loud, but basically, I wanted to kill myself. That was all in high school. It was in college, all the time. So I'm super grateful to be like standing up here right now, because I appreciate that. But yeah. So yeah, I'm not trying to make it dark after lunch. But yeah, this is where I was 20 years ago. And I had it pretty much made. I got depressed mainly through high school, college, got out of college, worked in New York City, best place ever, worked for an influencer marketing company. Everything was going well. But then the next stage of life, I didn't want to do. It was either move into the city or I don't know what I was going to do. But I decided to text my friend just on a limb, my best friend from Pennsylvania. I was like, listen, I don't know if I'm going to do this, but I know you have a house. Like, if I decide to come down there, could I live with you? He's like, yeah, it'd be $500. I'm like, okay, done. So the journey starts in Pennsylvania. I put all that stuff. I didn't even have a lot of stuff. I don't know I had such a big truck, but I mean, there we are. And as soon as I got there, they threw me a welcome home party, and I knew I made the right decision, because basically I hated life. Like, I didn't have any friends, and basically, like, there wasn't a community like this. I wasn't an Amazon seller. I feel like back then, it was like you make a blog, and then hopefully you could build an audience. Like, there wasn't really Amazon and stuff like that. So I thought that would be my plan, but it didn't work out that way. These 4 chairs changed my entire life. I paid $10. This business started with $10. I got these. Not super proud of it, but someone was on OfferUp. They had these for $40. I negotiated them down to $10. I said, me and my girlfriend just moved. We're really strapped for cash. Can I get the chairs? And they're like, yeah, $10. I drove, I think, like 40 minutes to get them. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, post them on Craigslist. And yeah, they sell for $40 2 days later. I'm like, huh, interesting. So I doubled down on this. For the first year, I'm basically just doing it on the weekend. Made 25 grand the first year, just flipping furniture. Facebook Marketplace. And for a lot of people who are strapped for capital, I made a tweet about this the other day. It's a great opportunity. Selling furniture was amazing for me, but it also led to some problems. This was my apartment, right there. And right after that ugly green couch, there was a whole room full of more furniture, which was the dining room. My mom said that I was a furniture mogul, and I should have got a 2-bedroom apartment, so I kind of thought I made it there. But yeah, big problem. I was going to New York home for holidays. People were messaging me, hey, I want to buy furniture. I'm like, well, I'm in New York. I'll be back in a week. And basically, they were like, I don't want it. I lost thousands of dollars. And I'm like, I need a business that doesn't make my apartment look like this, and something that I could scale. So I found a video by Reezy Resells. I don't know where he is. Absolutely changed my life. That's another guy. A lot of people in this room, super grateful for. He was talking about thrifting books, and I was like, I don't know about this. It seems super sketch. Whatever. I'm one of the people, and I think it's really important that you do. You just follow the process. If someone's further along the path than you, and they got there, follow it. You could do your own thing or put your own spin on it, but follow it. So, started thrifting books. This was a Goodwill, and I was doing it in this like little room. This room would be like filled all the time. I had a 1-bedroom apartment, and yeah, I just listed books out of there. But the first book I bought, I really thought it was a scam, because on the back of the book, it said it sold new for $25.99. That was the MSRP, and Amazon was saying it was selling for $45. I'm like, this thing is definitely a scam. Like, I don't know what's going on here. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, it sold. And that changed. I just doubled down on that. And yeah, it really changed my life. Just started thrifting, doing all these crazy trips all over the place. Then I get into bulk books. If you do Gaylords of books and pallets, they do not fit in small SUVs. Not a great idea. I had 2 storage units. That was the first load of books I ever got. I realized quickly that if you buy Gaylords, you have to return them. So I did it like, I don't know, 2 at a time, 1 at a time. And yeah, bulk books were great. Ended up quitting my job about, I think it was 1.5 years after. I started doing that. Loved it, best decision of my life. But couple problems. COVID. Right after I quit my job, I was on top of the world. I had 2 awesome suppliers for books. COVID happens. I lose the first supplier because he can't come into Pennsylvania because of the rules. I lose my second supplier about a week later. And then Amazon says I can't send books there. And I was like, shit. Like, damn. Like, I had this figured out. I luckily had like enough cushion to kind of like figure this out. But that was the first time I came across online arbitrage. And this was kind of what Avery was talking about with the sandcastle. When I saw that they said only items that are necessary, I was like, I want to be selling items like that. So I get through it. I end up getting a 4,500 square foot warehouse, get a forklift, do all that stuff, have employees. And as soon as I get the keys to the warehouse, restock limits happen. I was like so excited, and I do this for FBA. I don't want to merchant fulfill. Kind of left me no choice. I had to do that, had to learn that, and it was brutal. I like hated it. Then on Miami 2021, I had no idea Avery was going to use this photo in his presentation. So, but yeah, this was a huge game changer for me. I really started to find out about OA. So yeah, that was pretty big. This is what online arbitrage to me is like. You have a great start to the month. Nothing happens. You're like, what the fuck? Where's my inventory? Your inventory starts to go live. You're like, this is great. It all checks in. You're like, let's fucking go. And then you're like, fuck, I should have spent more money. And this was the cycle that I was in because I was afraid. I wouldn't go deep on stuff. And I was like, oh, I have like this big like Amex bill or whatever. I'm like, what if it doesn't work out? And I kept falling into this process. And then it was actually Warner. I don't know if Warner's in here. But he was like, you know what you're doing. You have to go deeper. Like, that's how you grow it. One of the biggest problems, too, is I had a book business. I had merchant filled books, FBA books. I had an eBay store. I had another bunch of stuff. And I thought I would just be able to do OA on top of that. Why? I have no idea. This was a big thing for me. So you'll see down here, I was still doing books, and I could not crack like the 25-ish K. So what would happen was I would do books, that account would go up, then I was like, okay, I could focus on OA, that account would go up, and the book account would go down. I would panic, and I was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I'm the type of person that needs to, like when I moved to Pennsylvania, I had no choice. Like I'm there now, I have to figure shit out. And this is what happened I got rid of all my equipment. So what happened was I would struggle with books, or struggle to find OA items profitably. I'm like, I'll just buy more books. Like, I'll get better, like, but not doing it. So that made no sense. But I sold my forklift, I sold the dumper, I sold the table. So now I had no choice. About 6 months of the warehouse lease to do this. But as soon as I did, I hit my first 35K. Then I did 50, I don't know, 2 or whatever that is. Kind of had to transition out of books a little more. So did like 52. This is the only screenshot I had on my phone. But November ended up being 72. And then this December was 120. And that is the power of focus for me. I was trying to run 4 different businesses really poorly. I mean, I don't know if social media is considered a business, but that does take up a lot of time. But like a lot of the process that goes into this, you just have to focus. Like, I think a lot of the problems is you get to a certain stage and you hit the next obstacle, and then you're like, well, I'm gonna start the next thing because that's easy to get up and going. But for me, this is huge, just focusing. I have this in my room, and I think this is exactly what success is like. You look at my Instagram, and that's what it looks like, kinda. I mean, I will post some bad stuff on there, but yeah, this is what everyone thinks it looks like, but this is what it really looks like for me anyway. It's just hard, and you have to really like stick it out, and I feel like it's just not easy. Amazon is easy in theory. You're buying stuff for cheap, selling it for more money, but the hard part of it is being consistent and getting through this, getting through IP complaints, getting through getting sued by a textbook company, getting through, account issues and just all that kind of stuff. And it just makes you stronger. A lot of times when bad shit was happening, I think it's easy to look back. I do this all the time. Like, I think back to like 20 years ago and just be like, it's not better. It's not worse than that. So a lot of the times, like Amazon, it's just money. Like, obviously money is important, but like having community, having people in your life, that's more important. And like a lot of people in this room have like really helped me out. So yeah, this is do whatever it takes to be successful. Took me 4 years to do 1.3 million. This year I should do at least 1.5 to 2 million this year, depending on how it goes. But one of the biggest things I would say is coming to events like this. Me and Michaela took an Uber ride here this morning, and the driver was super, super nice. And he said, go make $1 million. Actually, go make 2 million. Michaela's like, I'm gonna make more than 2 million. And this is the type of people you have to hang out with, though. Because I was like, oh yeah, 2 million. She's like, I'm gonna make more than 2 million. And I was like, okay. So like, yeah, coming to events like this, getting inspired, networking with people, that's what it's all about. Finding the right model for you. I'm a big Alex Hormozy fan, and he talks about rowing, being in the right boat. Books was not the right boat for me. I know David's here. He does a really good job with books. But for me, I didn't want to merch and fulfill. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. And I quit my job to do what I wanted to do. Like, I had a job that I was miserable at. I didn't want another one. Pivoting when necessary, no matter what. Transitioning to OA was really hard. I thought it'd be easier because I'm a bookseller and just kind of know how it works. But it's going to be tough. I basically threw away 3 years of work and building connections and getting a warehouse and doing all that stuff, and like lost a lot of money on like all this equipment I bought, but it was necessary to get me to the next level. And you have to make tough choices sometimes. Putting in the work, try my best to like get that on Instagram, and like this is a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It's a lot of testing. It's a lot of networking. It's just a lot of everything that goes into this. And then last but not least, focusing on one model and forgetting all the rest. That was my biggest problem. I probably could have just got rid of books early on. I had the inkling. My warehouse lease was up, but I didn't have the confidence that I knew OA enough to kind of throw it away. But it was pretty stupid because it was like either pay, I don't know, like 70 grand for the warehouse or work out of my house, and I chose to pay the 70 grand for the warehouse. Don't know why. But looking back, it's easy to say that. And yeah, if you guys want to connect on social, stay in touch. Free Discord, YouTube channel, Instagram. You guys could follow so I could get to 10K and look cool like everyone else in this room. That'd be great. And yeah, that's it.